Awesome. So you are the Smart Travelista. I assume that
Absolutely.
means you love to travel.
Absolutely. Yep. And doing it in a smart way. So traveling in quality, but without the cost.
And how do you pull that off? Because I always spend an exorbitant amount of money when I travel.
Yeah. Look, you know what, Reyshan, it takes research, also good planning, and just being on top of, when the sales are on and traveling in the periods of the year where the demand's going to be a little bit less usually gives you the lower prices.
The off season, if you will. The off season.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, personally, like I love going to like Colorado in the summertime, which is off season, because you get more uh access to everything. You're not in as many crowded places, and you have plenty of hikings. And I don't ski, so sometimes
That's
traveling
it.
on the off season is actually better for some people.
Yeah, and you know
Do
what
you
you'll
do a lot
find
of
that
do you, you're fine.
so yeah, you'll find in the off season the prices are cheaper, and also there's less demand. So that's when the travel companies want customers.
And hotels are cheaper,
Yep,
Ubers are
exactly.
cheaper.
Yep,
So
agree.
where are some of the places you've been that
Some of the places, oh gosh, I've been everywhere.
where are some of the places
Um,
that yeah, yeah.
so some of the cheaper places, well, for me, being in Australia, Asia's very close. And that's actually cheaper for me to go to Asia than it would be to go across Australia from, say, the East Coast to the West Coast, which sounds a bit crazy. But yeah, so I've been to Asia, been through Europe, to the States as well, around the Pacific. So yeah, I've done quite a bit of travelling. I've been lucky, with the jobs that I've had that's been part of it. So, but yeah, depending on where you're located. So for you, because you're in the US, you're probably going to, if you travel somewhere close to the US, it's going to be cheaper for you. And it's probably, depending on where everyone's located, similar sort of thing. So, if you're in the UK, it's probably going to be really cheap for you to go to Europe. Whereas for us, it's quite expensive because it's so far away. But I think wherever you're living, the closer regions to you are always going to be the cheapest.
Nice. Do you use any like tricks and tips of like people use their credit cards to get their air points and their hotel stays? Do any of that fun stuff to to save money?
Yes. Yeah. So I use a lot of points. I build the points. With the points, and it depends on what you want to do with it, but usually save them up for a really big trip. So, say from Australia to the UK. And obviously, I like the business class, not the economy. So, always good to bank the points up. But yeah, it's about seeing where the specials are, but then also using the points because points save you money, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
paying for something if you're utilising or redeeming those points.
Nice. So, did you start out that way? Like, what was your inspiration to decide to like you just really wanted to travel, and were like I'm gonna figure out how I can do it.
Yeah. So been travelling since I've been a kid, and really, really lucky that my parents took me around Australia on a road trip, and it was an amazing trip. It was like, oh gosh, I didn't know about travel, and now I do. And so the goal was always when I left school that I wanted to get into travel, and then end up doing that, working for an airline, and then the rest is history. But yeah, once you've travelled, you sort of get the bug and you just want to go everywhere then. It's like, okay, I've seen this country. Where else is there for me to explore? And yeah, I've been really lucky. If you're in that job, you're getting the benefits, so you've got to utilise them. And you just go off. Used to go off at a drop of a hat to different places, and it was like, okay, I've been there. Let's see what else is out there. So yeah, And obviously when I wasn't at the airline, then it was like, okay, well, I had discounts there. How am I going to replicate that? And that's when I started getting into the points. And obviously I used to tell clients about how to use the points. So I then put into practice myself. So yeah, it's travel's a big passion, but then also saving money. So it was, how am I going to save money but still, not do backpacking, that sort of travel, but the more quality sort of travel.
So
So it was just
no hostels.
no hostels. Look, I've been there, done that. Not anymore. So I've been to many camping sites and hostels. But yeah, I mean, look, each to their own. Some people like that. That is really, really cheap. Like if you really want to save money, that's probably the way to go. But your privacy is not your own. And, you've got to worry about your belongings as well, because there's nowhere to sort of lock stuff up. So, yeah, it's whatever, that you want to do. But there's other ways also, Reyshan, of saving money. Some people actually have like homestays, and like stay at places and work. So there's, so many options that you can explore as a traveller where you're saving a lot of money.
Let's talk about homestays. Particular countries for homestays are better than others, or how do we find homestays?
So the internet's a great place to start looking, but homestays, I mean, look, I haven't done them myself, but I've got people that I know that have done them. They've done them through Europe. Europe's always a good place to do it. Also, the UK. But look, I haven't really investigated that much, but it's probably got a massive network where you could do that. And then obviously you can stay at places and work for people as well. And then what they don't pay you, and what they give you is lodging and food, which is a good thing as well. So, depending on what you want to do, so many
That
options
works.
to, yeah.
So do you you on all of your travels? I imagine you're also eating on a budget. So how do you eat a lot of street food, or how do you find the places you want to eat in order to save money?
So I stay away from street food because you don't know about the hygiene of how that meat or how old that meat is. So yeah, I've always steer clear of the street food. What I do, and this is just like common sense, I suppose, but um, go to the supermarket if you can and buy food there. Um, I mean, obviously some people like eating out, but eating out every night is going to cost you a lot of money,
Hmm.
because, you're paying for that person's labour. So eating in is going to cost you. You've got those fees around that. So I'm not saying don't do that, but if you really, really want to save money, go to the supermarket. You've got meal deals that you can get. If you've got kitchen facilities where you're staying, you can also cook your own. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to do that. What I would say is, if you are in a place and you do want to eat, always follow where the locals are going, because usually that's your cheapest and the best food, I've found, because the locals obviously want to save money too. So they, if you see a massive line and you see a lot of local people there, you go, okay, that's probably got good prices as well as good food. But yeah, again, it's up to the individual. But what I try and do is have a lot of supermarket food, and, do it that way, because that's a big
I'm
cost
curious
saving.
though. What are you cooking in different countries, different things? Is it, like when you go to the supermarket in like China, right, versus going to the supermarket
Mm,
in the UK?
mm.
What are you looking? Have you experienced that? And is it fun to like walk into these different cultures and grocery stores?
Absolutely. Yep. Most recently was in the Philippines. Um, what I try and do is I try and eat what's good in the country. So somewhere like Asia, or especially the Philippines, they've got amazing fruit. So fruit's always a good thing, and it's cheap.
Mm.
Um, but then also, if you've got cooking facilities, you just get the basics, and you can cook yourself up something really simple. But they've got meal deals. So probably not so much in Asia, but say in the UK, you can go to any supermarket there and they'll have a meal deal. So they'll have like a salad, They might have pasta. And with that, you'll actually get a sweet, which will be maybe fruit and also a drink. So,
Hmm.
it depends on your diet, really, Rashan. I mean, if, you like those sorts of things, then I would do that. If you're a steak and cooked meat person, then maybe the restaurant's the way to go. But what I would say is allow it for it in your budget. So, because it's going to be a little bit more expensive.
Nice. So you're an author as well. You have 5 books. You have 5 travel books out.
Yes.
When did you decide to become an author? What was the first one? Let's talk some books.
Yeah. So the way the books came about, I was always getting asked questions from other travelers when I was traveling. And, I think there was one flight that I came off, and they were on the same flight, and they said to me, "How did you arrive out of here so early?" And I said to them, "Well, I was in business class." And then they said to me, "Did you pay for business class?" And then that's when I started talking to them about the points and how that worked. I was getting a lot of questions like this from travellers. And then one lady said to me, "Have you got books? Have you got a website? Have you got a blog?" And I had none of that at the time. And there was just too many questions being asked and getting asked tips. And I thought, somehow I've got to record all this. And so that's how the books came about. So they had the epiphany on a flight to London um, on one trip. But my books, so I've actually got 6 books. I've got one which is travel stories, so Antics from abroad, but the 5 books in the Smart Travelista series. So the first one was sort of your beginner book. So it was for finding the best travel bargains and managing your budget. So that was really talking about how you don't use a travel agent and go online and do it yourself, and how that can save you money. Second one was about the best overseas bargain shopping. So I love shopping. So that was a favourite book of mine.
You and my wife have something in
That,
common.
that's it. Book 3 was how to increase your airline loyalty points and fly for free. So I'm really delving into the airline miles and how to utilise them and build a strategy. Book 4 was how to protect your travel health and safety. So that was really about how to be safe while you're overseas, and also obviously health become very important as well. And book 5 was how to travel with food allergies. So, we talk about food. I've got food allergies, so it's how you navigate that when you travel, because that can get a bit tricky depending on the country that you're in. But yeah, and the 6th book was Annex from Abroad, which was about travel experiences. When we travel, sometimes, Rashan, things don't go as planned, and things can go wrong. That book's about things that went wrong for me, but also for people that I've met while traveling. So that was a bit of an entertaining book, talking about the other side of travel. But yeah, they're the books, but all available on
Yeah.
Amazon if anyone wants to read.
You, all under Smart Travelista, like series.
Yes, yep, yep.
Smart. Just Google or Amazon search Smart Travelista if you need all those travel tips. Do you have a fun anecdote from the 6th book? One of your favorite stories in there?
Oh, there are so many, Rashan. I'm actually I'm actually in the middle of bringing out the second one because I've got so many stories. There's going to be a second annex from abroad. Favorite story? Gosh, probably one that was unexpected was being detained at the Chinese border.
Oh.
Yes, so I went to Shenzhen for the day. I was in Hong Kong and took the train to Shenzhen for a bit of shopping. My favourite thing to do, and then coming back, was detained at the Chinese border, and not really knowing what had happened. So I was put in a holding room with all these other criminals.
Oh
So that
no.
was an yeah. So that was a once in a lifetime experience.
For why?
And I knew
Why did they would detain you?
So I didn't know at the time what had happened. I did something a bit naughty while I was on the border. and I didn't realize until afterwards. I'm a very big photographer, so I like taking photos. I'm taking photos, clicking and taking photos of everything. And then as I'm walking through, it says, forbidden, do not take photos. I'd already taken photos before I'd seen the sign.
Oh no.
So initially I thought they'd put me in there because I'd been taking photos at the border, but it wasn't that. So what happened was I had a form that was for my exit visa out of China, and I'd misplaced the form and not realised. So when they looked at my passport, I didn't have my exit out. So they thought that potentially I wanted to stay in China. And so that's why they were holding me in the
Oh
room
no.
until they verified whether I had an exit out of there. But it was an interesting time in there because, you know, who gets put in a holding room with other criminals? Very
I was just
interesting.
trying to go shopping.
I'm just trying to go shopping. That's right. And you know, they're looking at me like, as what is she doing in here? And I was in there going, my God, what have they done? And so it made for an interesting story. But I've got so many stories like that.
They let you go
Yeah,
though. They let you go, right?
they let me go.
Did you get to go shopping?
I went shopping before, so it was on the way back. So yes, I did go shopping. But yeah, it was on the way back. But yeah, look, I've got an entertaining story
well,
to
that's good.
tell,
That's
right?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
It does, yes.
Very, very cool. So I guess that would fall under the category of like ways to stay safe from book 5.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are you have a couple of like the most like horrific things that you should probably avoid in certain countries, or just the tricksters and
Yes,
the pickpockets, or what are we
yeah.
avoiding?
So what I would say is some of this is really common sense, Reyshan, but don't draw attention to yourself when you travel. So, and what I mean by that is, you know, we've got all these lovely, expensive gadgets and belongings. It's about losing the belongings when you're going to different countries. If you have your wealth on display, then you're going to be a target.
Right.
Um, and also, you know, don't walk down dark alleys at night. I mean,
I
most
mean,
people
that's a given
would
across the board, I feel like.
yes, absolutely. And also try and blend in with the locals. You know, if they're wearing casual sort of clothes, and try and do the same. Also, just be really mindful when when you're out and about. You would do this in your own city anyway, but just be really aware of who's around you. And also, wouldn't be when you're wanting to get money out of the ATM, don't do it in an airport because there's a lot of
Mm,
undesirables that walk around the airports and they're
really?
going, oh, tourist getting their money out. Oh, good, and then you're a target. Um, for a
Good
pickpocketer,
tip.
yeah, pickpocketer, I would say, and this is again common sense. Don't wear your bag on the back. Wear it on the front, so you've got full visibility of what's going on. If anyone's going to
Mm,
try and get anything out of your bag, if it's on your back, you can't see what someone's doing on behind you. You
mm-hmm.
know, so if you've got a backpack, like a little backpack, wear it on the front. And so things like that, which when you're a bit jet lagged and you're a bit tired, you just sometimes tend to forget these things, and it can be at your peril because they're like, oh, tourist, great, and then so yeah, it's just about being really mindful and self-aware when you're traveling. If you're on a train, in Europe, say in Italy or somewhere like that, just be really careful. You're going to be, there's going to be a lot of people in that train. Just make sure you're holding on to your belongings when you're in there. But yeah, just things like that, which is, should be common sense, but sometimes people just forget. I think it's the travel that gets them excited, and they sometimes just those sorts of things go out of their mind.
Yeah, we all have a tendency to put our guard down when we're tired and jet lagged and
Mm,
excited to be on vacation.
yeah,
You ever been to Times Square?
I've been to
Yeah.
Times Square.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody try to take
yeah.
your picture dressed as Elmo?
No, that didn't happen. But it was really crowded when I was in Times Square.
No,
And again,
that
but
was
yeah, but if you,
that was mine when I was in Times Square and like Batman was like, "Do you want to take a picture with me?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to take a picture with you." Yeah, you're going to take a picture. No, man, I don't want to take a picture with you. And then they try to charge you for the picture, and then they get really mad if you don't want to pay them. But
yeah, yeah.
yep.
The only time I've had that is outside the Colosseum in Rome, where they've got the gladiators. Um,
Ah.
and they're good similar. So you want to take a photo with me? And I did, and they go, okay, that's and then it's like,
200
okay,
euros.
yeah. But you live and learn, right?
Or you read your book to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes.
Exactly.
Awesome. What was book 2 again?
Book 2 was overseas bargain shopping.
Bargain shopping. All right. So, the ladies out there, how do how do we bargain shop when we're in another country? Are we negotiating prices or
Yes,
yeah?
absolutely. So they'll quote your price. What you need to do is halve that, or even less than half. They will freak out, but then you've got a lot of room to move then, right? So, and don't show you
Mm-hmm.
might be excited about an item. Don't show your interest, because then they know that they can hook you in and charge you more. Um, and also do a bit of research. So if you're in a market, it's going to be very common that that same product will be at a number of different vendors. So go and see what everyone's price is, and then go, okay, this is the average price. This is what I'm going to say for my first offer. Um, Another thing, Reyshan, if there's any ladies out there and they actually want to get a free shopping book, I have that on my website
Oh.
for a newsletter sign up. So anyone wants to get that free Smart Travelista book,
Mm-hmm.
all you got to do is sign up, and you'll get it via email. So
Where are we signing
yeah,
up at? This
so that would be at thesmarttravelista.com.
thesmarttravelista.com. Get the newsletter and you can save a lot of money shopping, ladies. Just throwing that out there. Linda knows. Linda knows.
Yes.
Do you have any? You have from all your travels? Do you have like? I'm sure you brought home souvenirs. Do you have any favorite souvenirs from different countries that you've collected?
Yeah, I've got a big sombrero from Mexico. I'm trying to get that through.
Nice.
It wouldn't fit in my luggage, so I actually have to wear that on the aircraft, which started some good conversations. But yeah, I just you really want to remember these, the places that you've been to. So it depends on how much room you've got in your luggage, but always small things. Like I think I went to Vietnam and I had, the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, those little
Mm-hmm.
ornaments. So that was quite cute. But yeah, anywhere that I go, I like to have a look at what the traditional souvenirs are, and it's a memory, isn't it? Really, like a little memento of where you've been. And you look at it, you can reflect and go, well, what a blessed life I've had. I've travelled to all these places, and so it also
Your home
keeps
is your
those memories.
scrapbook.
That's right. I think it keeps those memories alive also, because you look at the item and go, oh, I remember the story that happened there. Um, so yeah, souvenirs are great, I think, and yeah, I've got many souvenirs. Got my little sort of shelf with all the souvenirs. That's great.
What's the strangest souvenir you ever saw just at like a at a market? Like just like people buy that and take it home?
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking about, but I've always loved drums, and I got a bongo drum when
Oh,
I was in a
cool.
market in Italy. But then I didn't realise that potentially I might have problems going through customs with that, just because of the material that it's made of. And I did have problems going through customs when I came back to Australia. Um, but yeah, that was a cute little souvenir.
Do you
Something that I
play
didn't
it? Do you
expect to.
bongo?
Yeah, a
Yeah. All right.
bit of a haven't got it handy, but yeah, I've always loved the drums. And I thought, well, I can't get a drum kit because that's too big, but a bongo drum is quite cute. And yeah, it's like only like a little mini one. But yeah, sometimes you go out and you don't expect to buy these
And
things,
hit
but
around the
something just
campfire.
resonates. Yeah, something just resonates with you. And you go, you know what? I've got to get that bongo drum. And then you end up getting it, and then not thinking about how you're going to get it through, but then you get it through eventually. Yeah, but yeah, that's fun. Part of the shopping, I think, is the souvenirs.
Oh, of course, of course. I when I travel, I like to find the tin like paintings on like tin of
Mm,
animals playing sports or doing any type of activity, which are
great.
not everywhere, of course. But if you ever
Mm,
see an animal playing a sport or a game on painted on tin, think of me. And
I will.
yeah, please do.
Yeah. And just going to say, Reyshan, I think people also have their favourites. Some people like collect the same thing in each country. Um, so, obviously people collect spoons or they might collect bookmarks. I remember I worked with a lady that liked bookmarks. She liked bookmarks, so she would collect a
Hmm.
bookmark from every place. But yeah, I don't really do that. But I know of people that have like, okay, I need to get a little, you know, that same thing everywhere. So they build up their collection from around the world.
I think America's is shot glasses. People try to collect a shot glass from every state they've been to
Mm.
because they're always in the little junk shops, right? It's with the name of the city, and so
Yep,
I think my grandparents had a whole collection of just shot glasses from around the world.
yep. And they're good,
But
because they're small as well.
no problem getting that through customs.
No, no problem at all.
So you have any travel plans for the future? What's next?
Yeah, I've just come back from Manila actually for work, but next month I'm going to South Korea, where I haven't been, so that'll be fun. Um, this year I've got quite a few plans. Also in July I'm going to the Cook Islands,
Oh, nice.
which is not too far from Australia, and then haven't been there for a while, but going back to Bangkok, so Thailand later on in the year. So yeah,
Lucky
got a
you.
few travel plans.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
just need to learn to
Asia
budget better, and
is
I can go too, right?
yeah. For an Australian, Asia's quite cheap. You just got to look out for the sales, and that's another thing I was going to tell your listeners. If you really want to find the bargains and know when the airline sales are on, really good idea to sign up to their mailing list. So whatever airline that you normally travel with, or there might be a few airlines, make sure you sign up
Oh, they
on
send
their
them out.
website to their mailing, and then they will tell you when the sales are out. And then you go, okay, the sales are out. I've got to get on the website and check it out. So that's a really good heads up for anyone that wants to know when the sales are out for any of the airfares. And
It's
so that's something that I do. I have a folder where I throw all those emails in. And then when I see one that's offering sales, I make sure I go to the website and check it out immediately.
So there is
Um,
some gold in all that spam from the companies we sign up for. Good to
yes,
know.
especially the travel ones. If you're a traveller, those spam from the travel company should be gold for you because that's going to save you big money.
Good to know. Good to know. Uh, how about money? What's it? You've been everywhere, and so I'm just curious because money is always different in different places. What's the funnest bill that you've had to use in your travels? What country has the coolest money? Do you think? Just to look at.
Probably not so much now, but Italy used to have quite interesting when they had the lira. Um, their notes were quite cool. Um, some of them, yeah, some of them are a bit unusual. I mean, most of them have like the head of state or the important person of the country on them. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really take much notice. It's money, so it's like, okay, the money's going to be spent shortly. But then that's a really good question, actually. I'll have to keep my eye out when I actually get the money. One thing that I will say about the money, depending on where you go to, some of the countries are not using cash so much now. So especially in places like Scandinavia, before COVID, I went to Sweden. They're running on, they're cashless almost. And I think most other places in Scandinavia are similar. But it depends on the country that you travel to. Asia loves cash. So Asia is very much the cash economy when you're traveling. But depending on where you're going to, it's something that you might not think about, but it's always good to look and just maybe Google it and say, to find out whether you need cash or whether you can use credit card, because each country is different.
See, my problem is always when I get to another country and they give me the money, it always sort of feels like monopoly money. So you don't pay as much attention to kind of what you're spending because it doesn't seem real almost. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, 1,000 pesos, whatever, cool. I have no idea how much money that really is. And you just, you can accidentally just go a little crazy if you're not actually doing the math in your head while you're spending, right?
Yep. So it's always good. One thing that I do, so I try and get the money before I leave, because that's another tip. If you go to the airport, you're going to be ripped off big time. They'll charge you commission, and then you're never going to get the best exchange rate. So whatever exchange rate you've purchased that cash at, technically that's your exchange rate, right? Irrespective of if the exchange rate varies and goes up and down. What I normally do is I think, okay, so it's 38, whatever it is for $1 Australian. I make sure that I calculate it based on that. So, I just went to the Philippines, so it was 38 for every Australian dollar. Look at the price and go, okay, let's divide that by 38, and that's going to tell you what it is. I know it can get a bit crazy because you just get carried away. You're like, everything's so cheap. Okay, let's get this, and this. But you've just got to be mindful that if you're not mindful when you're spending, the money is going to disappear. And then, you're going to either have to get some more money or you're going to have to use a credit card. It's always good to remember, okay, and, use your phone, whatever you've got.
Do the math.
The math
is important.
Yeah, but you're right. You can get a little bit out of hand because you're just in the, you just love spending the money, and it's like, this is so cheap. And I'm going to get this. And then after a while you go, oh my God, look what I've just bought, and I've got no money left. So, yeah, always be mindful.
It's not actually monopoly money. It's not. It's real money.
Agreed.
Awesome. Those are fantastic tips. Obviously, if you want a full-on breakdown of how to travel cheap, go get Linda's books, Smart Travelista series. What are you having for dinner tonight?
What am I having for dinner? So I think chicken and rice. So I'm
healthy.
a big rice person. That's what's on for dinner tonight. Haven't actually cooked it, but I've got prep ready.
Oh, hey, and it's 7 in the morning. You haven't had breakfast yet, and you already got dinner planned. Bravo.
That's it. What are you having for dinner tonight, Reyshan?
We are actually having homemade spaghetti. My business partner is spending all day, even though I'm told by multiple chefs that you don't have to spend all day making tomato sauce. Tomato sauce can be made in 20 minutes, but he loves this slow 8-hour tomato meat sauce. It's like sausage and hamburger and tomatoes and brown sugar and onions and peppers and whatever. And it sits there for 8 hours. And so we're having homemade spaghetti sauce and spaghetti tonight.
Nice.
I'm not a cook.
Sounds lovely.
So that always makes me feel better.
Absolutely. Yes. Always a good situation,
Indeed.
Isn't it?
Awesome. So where can everybody follow you at? I know you got an Instagram I checked out.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, so the smarttravelista.com, but I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, and also Tumblr. Most of them are at the Smart Travelista, and with Twitter it's at @the_Travelista.
Very nice.
And would love to chat with people. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. Be great.
This is one good follow deserves another.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome, Linda. Well, thank you for hanging out and giving me all those travel tips today. I really appreciate that, and I hope all you listeners appreciate her amazing tips and tricks, because she's been all over, and you can too.
Great. Thanks for having me, Reyshan. I really had fun.
So thank you so much.
See ya.
Anytime, and enjoy your travels. And maybe if you ever make it to Savannah, we'll hang out.
Absolutely. I'll put it on my list.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, go check out the Smart Travelista on all her social media, and go get her books on Amazon, the Smart Travelista series. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, Linda King. Oh, go watch my TV show.
See you guys. Bye.
Cheers.